I'm doing this completely off the top of my head. I usually have something written down. But where we left off last time, you guys had just discovered a whole heap of fleshy undead down in the well when Dodric was lowered down there, and you brought him back up, and he quickly told you what had happened, and you elected to go back to town and get Rebecca, who brought along some of her guard to come back to the house. When you grouped up the house, you followed one of the guards who led you lost throughout the mountains. Took him a couple of goes, but he did locate what he said was another rear cave entrance to the back of the house. Inside, you went in and explored one of the guards staying back at the house, and you found some creepy statues and some sort of brazier or offering table. You're unable to discern what its actual purpose was. And you were also attacked by several ghouls from within the cave, which you fought off and slaughtered with quite with ease, really. And it was after that combat that we finished up. So with the last ghouls slaughtered by Chug's mighty hammer, um, you wipe the sweat off your brow and recollect Rebecca and the guard standing there, a bit lost for words. Um, what do you do? Oh yes, yes, I do. Um, shall we go further in? So the ghouls that you've slaughtered, they're essentially almost naked, like a couple of sort of rags which have been left tied around them, presumably for months or years. Um, they're very skeletal, and as you sort of look over them, um, you don't really find anything. You could probably take a couple of fingernails, perhaps, which are known to alchemists for their paralytic traits. But aside from that, there's not much of value. I have no idea why you looted pinky fingers from cultists, you sadistic bastard. Ah, there's proof. Could be anyone's finger. Um, you haven't really seen a ghoul before, so for you to look upon, actually, I'll get you to roll a medicine check, please. 16. Okay, so you haven't seen a ghoul before, but you know a little bit about the humanoid figure, and you know about and have heard about how ghouls um, sort of rise after they've been killed, and putting the small bits and pieces together that you know, you're able to think that perhaps these ghouls have been a ghoul for probably a couple of years. They don't look like they've been freshly turned, like their skin is tight and leathery, um, but they don't look, you know, hundreds of years old or however long a ghoul would live for. They don't look incredibly aged. They do look somewhat recent within like probably, you guess 2 to 6 years, 2 to 5 years, thereabouts. Um, but yeah, and they're all roughly around the same composition. One doesn't look inherently older than the other. There's sort of this very pale greyish, leathery, tough skin that's strapped to a very skeletal structure. The glowing eyes that they once had have faded into their eye sockets, and they've got this really sort of deep brown, sort of blackish um, color in the tinge. Town, the population of Bereine's probably roughly between 1,000 and 2,000 sort of people. A lot of it being migrant workers who come and work at the mine and stay temporarily, perhaps for a few months to a few years, while they'll stay, earn enough coin, and then go and take their money and make a living elsewhere. So Berein is it's very travelled. There's a lot of new faces in the town all the time. So in terms, oh, I'll hand this to Rebecca, but she says, "Oh, yeah, we have had reports of a few people gone missing, but with the nature of the town and the way that everything works, it's probably really hard to say just how many people have gone missing. But we do talk to the neighbouring towns. Now, I'll hold you for a second. I just want to bring up my map of the neighbouring towns, because I've actually given them names now. Now, this map's a work in progress, so I'm probably not just ready to share it just yet. So now, you guys being rather like you're all foreigners and travelled, there's a town called Riverwall, which is further south along the river. And so, hey, Riverwall, what's wrong with that? I think I had another couple of names elsewhere. No, I hadn't. I haven't actually plotted them just yet. So yeah, Rebecca says we have spoken with the council at Riverwall. They have also had a few disappearances of late, but not in a massive number to start to think that it's been connected. Although with what you guys have told me and what I'm beginning to see, I'm starting to think that perhaps this is bigger than just Berein. So you're looking for clothes within the teeth or on the fingernails? Is that sort of what you're looking for? Okay, roll investigation. 13. You have a look over a few of the ghouls. In the teeth, you can see that it's very stained red. There's bits of skin and such within their very pointed teeth. So they've just been sort of eating, and on the claws and fingers as well. A lot of them are stained red, like they're freshly eaten. No, it's got a red tinge. Hey, you have a look through. You need a good sample with a strong, you know, not a broken finger or flayed or anything like that. It needs to be, pristine would be a word. Um, and you find 10 fingers that you're able to meet that quality. 2d6. And the guard's like, nah, man, not after that, nah, nah. and you can sort of see that he's still quivering and a bit shaken from what he's seen. So while you guys are all there, Doderick just sort of sneaks off unnoticed. Um, Actually, yeah, they were the ghoul things, but I'm actually I just realised I haven't got a pile of bodies, which you saw. So the ghouls that you've killed are now the makeshift pile of bodies. So you move into the next area, and you see a very short and narrow tunnel blocked by debris and rocks to your left, but to your right, the tunnel sort of opens out, and you can begin to see in with your vision. Actually, you got 60 feet of vision, so you can see the majority of this. But you can see the remainder, or what appears to be the remainder of the corridor, and there's a bit of a wet pool, I suppose, where once a good amount of water used to sort of sit. There's just a stack of bodies, probably about I don't know, 4 foot high, and you would probably discern that there's perhaps around 20 bodies lying, um, yeah, lying upon the middle of the corridor. All right, so you guys all moving in? So the part that you're in appears more natural, more of a natural cavern, whereas that first part with the statues and the brazier was more chiseled and man-made out of that area. But this is more of a natural cavern that's existed under this house and in this mountain. So looking at where the debris has, all those rocks are, um, it just appears to be that's where the natural cave finishes. Now that Chug has explored the rest of the way, and Doderick has as well, yes, yeah, you're able to see that that was the only entrance into the cave. Correct. Okay. Suppose I got to move them, don't I? So the guard follows you in. So does Rebecca. Okay. So as you lead Rebecca and the guard he's very cautious, but he sort of happily follows once there's a good 3 or 4 people in front of him. And as you get into this area, the stench is just awful. It's thick. You can taste it. There's corpse flies buzzing around, and it's actually quite noisy with insects and just the smell of decay. As you get in there, can I get you to roll an investigation check? Because you're actually properly looking at the bodies. '23. All right. So you have a look at the bodies, and you can see that they're just all piled and have fallen. And where you can see the bodies on the outside, especially towards the bottom, they've been sort of attacked or eaten by the ghouls the most. You can see the flesh just torn off the bones, and just exposed bones and sort of mouth-sized chunks just torn out of it. And what you notice about this pile of bodies, however, is the ones on the bottom appear, while they are decomposed, and I'll get you to roll a medicine check with that as well. 18. So while the bodies at the bottom are the most decomposed and therefore have been there presumably the longest, with all the other bodies falling on top and just piling on, they appear to be more full, um, whereas the bodies on the top are very close to the ones that you have seen up in the house, which are that skeletal. All of the moisture and innards and everything has all just sort of been sucked dry. All the skin is just wrapped tight onto the skeleton. Um, you're able to sort of see that this is the result of experimentation, and as the person experimenting on these bodies or on these people, presumably, how he's progressed with his magic, and he's starting to suck the life out of them more successfully as the bodies got to the top. So as you sort of talk to Rebecca, I'm just going to do. Can I get you while you're all in there? This because the stench is just horrendous. Can I get you to all make Constitution checks, please? You can make it with advantage. This will be a save, I think. I'll have to, because this is sort of happening to you. I think that's the difference between a check. Like a check would be perhaps you holding your breath. But in this case, this is being put on you. So, could you get your results? Yes. 9, 7. So, Doderick and Chug, you just vomit with the stench, and so does the guard behind you as well. He's just, oh god, and then he sort of stops, goes green, and next thing, just vomits all over the floor. Um, no damage or anything, purely sort of role play. um, yeah, you guys are feeling really, really queasy. It's very hard to breathe with the smell. Um, sorry, I forgot what you originally wanted to ask, James. Oh, if Rebecca can. Yeah. Yeah, Rebecca, however, when she's standing there, she appears almost unfazed by the smell. She's got the hand up against her, but apart from, up against the nose and mouth, sort of shielding herself from it, but apart from that, her posture and everything is still completely unfazed. Um, and she sort of answers your question. Like, no, I cannot see the top bodies. They're so misshapen from whatever's happened to them. I couldn't see who they are, and the bottom bodies are so decomposed that again it proves to be really difficult. However, this is a mass grave, and I think we need to do something about this. We need more answers. Um, the guard sort of pops up. He goes, "Excuse me," and he just sort of walks out of the cave and heads back to the entrance to sort of recompose himself a little bit and escape the smell. I'll get you to roll perception. 9. Um, no, you haven't heard anything sort of trip it. Actually, yeah, I agree with the yellow ones. They were hard to read. I think we can get used to them after a little bit, but get you to roll perception. 17. No, the bodies are sort of piled. Like the floor goes deeper, whereas water would have naturally sort of uh, risen up from the ground to create the well. But these bodies are sort of just piled in. The ones that are wet and moist are like really bloated and such. And you can't see if there's any object in amongst them, but it just looks like a stack of dead bodies just all ragdolled on top of each other as they just sort of landed and, um, yeah, collapsed. Okay. Okay. And Rebecca and the guardsmen, they follow you out as well. Yep, it is. At the angle that you're at, you can't see straight up it. You have to sort of get on top of the bodies to be able to look straight up. But you do discern that that is the one. And Dodrick, you would be the one to confirm that this is what you saw. Yes. Yep. All right. Cool. So you all exit the cave. The rock trap that you had set up had not been tripped. It's still exactly as it was when you made it. And as you emerge out of the cave, you just like take into appreciation the breath of fresh air from the forest and the mountain nearby that you get walking out. Rebecca, so she speaks to her guard, and like you overhear that she wants to bring more people back to properly investigate who these people were and what may have happened to them. Although you all sort of have the understanding at this point that they met a magical end. Um, she says, Brothor? No, I don't know where he resides these days. He used to live or rent a room in the tavern. I think I think his family used to be from here. They migrated away, and then he's come back at a later point. So he may have had a house here once upon. I'd have to investigate to try and find out which house it was. But you said, like, you told me earlier in the house about the crystals, yeah? That they were being used? Well, there is somebody who may be able to help you, and I say this with a big may. He's sort of kept to himself for a very good amount of time, but a few days' travel up the mountain, there's a large tower and a very curious individual who resides in it, but he keeps to himself, very much so. He does not like guests, but he is invested in the arcane arts and is, I'm told, quite good at it too. Perhaps he might be able to give you some insight on what these crystals are and what they can be used for. I only know of him. Um, only know of him as Piron, but he's a human. Yeah, he's a human male, and he's quite aged, perhaps in his 60s or 70s. Big grey beard, the whole wizardy sort of look. Only who they are. Yes, yeah, we should have a registry of where they were residing, which I believe was at one of the taverns. But I can get the information for you. If you'd like, I can deliver it to you, a sealed note to your residence, perhaps in the morning. Yes, Adric, I think was his name. Yeah, I can do that. Uh, so the Lutgers, the Lutgers were a very, um, they're a family that never came outside. They're very strange, and they were spoken of in the town as sort of as stories to sort of scare children, like go to bed on time, or the Lutgers might find you, because they were known to be mysterious and they practiced magic, um, and because of that, they were feared by the majority of the townsfolk. As for a link between them and the cultists, I'm not so certain. However, after you showed me that cave down into the depths below, perhaps its location was the reason why that place was chosen. I couldn't say anymore, but I'll make sure that I get my team and my best people to have a look. Unless you want to go and look again yourselves. Here in the other tower, no, none. And it's actually quite a difficult climb too. Not much of a road. You'd have to bush it in a couple of places. That's actually a good question. I can't. It was nighttime when you guys were entering. Yeah, it had just fallen onto twilight. Yeah, right as you found it. So I'd probably put the time at about 10 or 11 p.m. Is that a unanimous yes from you other two quiet ones? Yep. Yeah, so there's a guard there at the house at the moment. So you were asking Rebecca if she's going to leave somebody? Yeah. Um, Perhaps not. I think I feel very uncomfortable leaving one of my own on his own in potentially a dangerous place. I think I'll bring him back with us, and we'll send a new team out to keep watch of this place discreetly to see if anybody shows back up later on. I think would be the best course of action. Okay. But privately, you want to pull her aside and. All right. So, Rebecca, she sort of gestures to her soldier and says, "All right, we need to make our way back. You know the way back?" And he says, I think I can track us back." Um, he pulls out a torch, and you see him just on the ground and starting to struggle to light this torch with a bit of flint and tinder. He sort of sits there for a few minutes, just scratching at rocks, and then eventually it catches after a good 5 or so minutes. And he holds the torch up and a decent amount of light. And goes, "Shall we?" And he starts to to retrace your steps. And he does this incredibly well, and so well to the point of that you're starting to question, was he actually lost on the way back here? Because he was very, very quick to retrace. You can see him following broken branches, footsteps in the mud, and just being able to retrace. And you get back to the house in almost no time. It only takes about half an hour or so, and you climb up the hill as a group together. And you reconvene with the other guard in the house, who's still there. He's sort of been sitting in the shadows in a corner, and as you guys approach with the light, he steps out of the shadows and greets you. Rebecca explains what's happened and says that we're going to head back into town, try and get a decent night's rest, and have another go in the morning, essentially. You guys doing anything different, or are you just happily following along until you get back to town? What was that? Yeah? Alright. So you all leave the town as the group. Both guards are now holding torches. You guys holding any light or anything? You just sort of... Yeah. Alright, so it takes you a little bit of time to get back to town because you've only got the one horse, I suppose. Oh, no, you and did all the guards? I can't remember the previous session. Did they all ride on horses together with you, Lefner? Yeah. So there's the four horses with the group. One for each of the guards, one for Rebecca, one for Lefner. And the guards and Rebecca offer you reluctantly, Chug, because of your size and who you are, and Dodric and Juan, if they want to jump on to the horses and ride. And actually, I'm just going to roll here. No, I just wanted to see if they, because they don't like half orcs. Half orcs are scary, beastly sort of things. I know you're a paladin, but just your race, there's a bit of prejudice there. But they reluctantly allow you to get onto the back of the horse, and you'll trudge your way back to town. And it takes you about an hour or so when you get back there. By the time you get back to your residence and such, it's about 2 in the morning. Is there anything you want to do before you go to sleep, or you just find in the bed and passing out? Okay, so Rebecca replies and says, given the nature of the town, that we're mostly a simple and mining town, your best bet would probably be the Lutker Manor. They were the ones that kept the largest library in town, although they did keep the books to themselves. But they're also a magical family as well. So she points and says, likely it would be that house. Cool. All back to home, in bed, sleep. All right. Cool. Um, yeah, you hop in and lay your head down, and you actually have a decent night's rest. No watches or anything. You just all sort of piling in and trusting your location. You can assume that. He did get attacked by a gnome assassin who could run up walls, however. You guys, 2 guys with your sound coming out of your speakers is causing a monstrous amount of feedback. Alright, so you lay down, trusting that the town guard will keep you safe the night watch. And tonight they do. You wake up in the morning, however, because you got to back to your house so late, you do oversleep a little bit. It's about 10:30 in the morning. Um, you're awake, hungry, eager to continue this, I suppose. What do you do? All right. So, what specifically? What are you looking for? Okay. Can I? All right. Are you all assisting with this, or are you going about your own ways? Yeah. All right. You go and check it. I won't get you to make a perception roll, but it is empty. It hasn't appeared just yet. Yep. Dodrick and Chug, are you doing anything? Shopping, perhaps? Or are you going with them? Okay. Alright, so you all get to the manor. You let yourself in. It's very much exactly the way it was. A bit smelly. There's a couple of bodies that have sort of still been laying there that haven't been dealt with as of yet. Um, However, you start to rummage around looking for any books of interest that have been perhaps removed, or books discerning, magic, and also books on crystals and its like. Can I get you to roll? Um, I'll get. Do you want to do it a single person with advantage, or do you want to each have a go and see what you each find? It'd be investigation. All right, get you all to make a roll. Chug, Dodrick, what did you get? Investigation. 18. So, you guys sort of make your way through. You're pulling out books like Sir Cuthbert's Fire, The Grapes of Cheverish, Sturges of Belfry. You have no idea what any of these are. You open the books, you're flicking through them. They're not really coming up with anything. Chug, you pull out a book of kobolds and men. It seems to be a really horrible fiction. And you're sort of going through. However, you do, Dodrick, you find a single book um, on on crystals and their magical properties. Um, the alchemists, the alchemist minerals, it's called. And you have a flick through it, and it lists a few different crystals that you haven't, or minerals that you haven't heard for. But as you get towards the back, you do find a listing for zimborolite. And it lists a lot of properties of the crystal being able to store magic and to be able to store essence. And because of its properties in this way, it's very sought after for by enchanters. So if you wanted to perhaps imbue a ring or a necklace or a staff, you could enchant one of these crystals and then insert it into the staff and got a magic item, essentially. Um, and that's what you're able to discern from this particular book. It's written at a very high, sort of a high intellect, I suppose, with a lot of references to magical um, jargon that you perhaps don't recognize. But you're able to look through it, and that's the general understanding you got from this particular book. um, can I get you to make an Arcana check? Providing Dodrick is sharing. 7. Um, there's a few references in there that you also don't understand, but you confirm what his thoughts are. Make a deception check. Um, there. Are you continue to look, or there's a book there called Tears in Heaven. Justice is Blind, and it's just it's an opinion piece. A big Hobbes story about why Tyr is awful and why you shouldn't follow him. Tossed into the fire, just erupts in flames. From what you've found, you are starting to put together that the person who lived here enjoyed stories. Less on factual information and more about, I suppose, getting immersed in a good book. Yeah. Hmm? You can tell me what the title is later. You can pocket one book. Um, it's taken you probably the better part of the afternoon. You're sort of searching through for a couple of hours trying to find what you've got. Hmm? It's about mid-afternoon. It's about 2 to 3 o'clock. So you've been there for a few hours. You'll follow? Yep. Alright. So you head back to the house. Um, I'm assuming left now you're checking the mailbox again. Yeah? Alright, so you jog back home. Then you check the mailbox. It's still empty. So you going back inside? Chuck needs armor. That was his monk. Cool. Alright, so what are you looking for? Sorry, I just need a glass of water. Um, yes, you can go to the blacksmith. You all moving as a group, or are you buying separate things? What are you doing? Alright. Alright, so you go inside the house and get changed. That's actually a good point. Are you other three? You wearing the guard uniform, or are you in casual? Casual. All right. So one, you let yourself in. You push open the door, and there's an envelope at your feet that's been pushed under the crack of the door. And you pick it up, and it's been addressed to you from Rebecca. Hey. Yeah, well, you open the door, and as it swings open, you just look straight down. There's this big yellow envelope right at your feet. Are you wanting to contest this? Anybody? It could be. He's picked up an envelope and he's saying that it's addressed to him. I said it's addressed to you all. It was a collective you. That's awfully racist. Actually, yeah, they do. What is your intelligence? It's 10. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's like your average intelligence, so that's being able to read and write. Maybe if it was like an 8 or 9, you could probably argue that he might skim over, he'd just be reading children's books or something. But a 10's pretty. I'm not reading in your slow voice, but it details that Adric does not have a place of residence in Berein. He had recently started work in Berein in the mine about 2 months ago. But Brothor, um his family used to own a house up in the northern part of town, and she's detailed the address to you of that, although it is currently owned by a human couple, and they have been living in the house for about 15 years or so. Um, and the human couple, their names are, sorry, their family, 15 years. Yeah, they've had the house for about 15 minutes. Just recently taken over as of today. No. Ah, I bring up the wrong window. Names. And that is, they are the Mask family, Marsk. Yeah, they live in the northern part of town. Uh, Probably to the left of the river on the town map, up towards the temple area. And they're a human family. But Brothor was staying in. Now, I, as the DM, have failed, and I cannot remember what. Not the Ripsky's Tavern, the Stonemason Hotel. He had a room rented there for a good couple of months. But in recent times, when he was pulled out of the mine, he no longer resides there, and now his residence is now unknown. Yeah, he promised to give you some more information should he come across it. All right. What sort of use? You looking for like a magical use, or so you're looking for more decorative to sort of give your character a bit more flavor on top of your armor, like tassels or scarves or anything like that? Is that the sort of clothing you're after? All right. um, okay, so uh, sorry. Um, so first, Chug goes to the blacksmith, and you check out his sort of wares, and you're just looking for a suit of armor, are you? Yeah. You're looking for heavy, medium, or light. The heaviest he's got. So when you go in, you greet Thoradin. He's like, "Hey, ladies, how you going?" And you exchange words. You'd like a suit of armor, and he's like, yes, I've got this piece which I'm rather proud of." And he leads you over, and he's got like the armor stand. And you see this very beautifully crafted suit of chainmail across there, which he's got on a decorative pedestal, just out of sight so it doesn't gather too much dust from the workshop and stuff, but it's more on display. And there's a couple of other pieces of armor there as well. There's some a chain shirt and some scale mail as well, and there's also a piece of ring mail off to the right. But the chain mail is expertly crafted in comparison to the others. And Thoradin, he sort of puffs up his chest and looks rather proud, and he goes, "Some of your best work, that, if I don't mind me saying. Are you interested?" That'll get you. You can have it for 75 gold pieces. No, no, I haven't. Roll persuasion. Four. Nine. He sort of. God, you can't make me laugh too much. Um, he sort of he smiles and smirks and he goes, I see what you're doing, but this piece of work took me about 4 months to make. I really, no, 75 gold pieces is what I'm asking. Oh, how about 74 gold pieces there, Mr. Holy Orc? Uh, the next best, he looks a bit deflated now and he points over to you. Heavy mail? Well, ring mail is about where you start. It'll be 30 gold pieces. And he points to the suit of ring mail. It's sort of dusty and deeply grey and such. For the chainmail is very like a bright sort of silver. This is a very dirty metal-y colour. Dirty silver. But it would do the job. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not dinted or anything. It does look new. I actually don't know. I presume the chainmail offers more armor, but I can have a quick look. The chainmail is AC 16. Ring AC 14. So the chainmail is an extra 2 AC. The what? Sorry, the axe blade. Is that actually what it's called? Ah, that's right. Okay. Um, hold on. Let me find what a great axe is. So you offer the great axe, and he's like, ooh, he's interested, and then he sort of sees how damaged it is, and he sort of he relaxes a little bit, but he takes it off your hands and pries it over and has a look. Um, and he sort of studies it for a moment and says, this is actually quite well crafted. And he looks at the burnt, singed handle that's off the side of it. And he goes, shame about the shaft, but you know what? I could give you 10 gold pieces for this. It's not complete. I've got to work and fix this up, but 10 gold is my offer. I don't need trees cut. Actually, if that's your persuasion, make a persuasion check, but you can have disadvantage on that one. Disadvantage. Three. Mm. It just he doesn't even respond as to what you sort of said. It just seemingly fell on deaf ears completely. He wasn't sure to take it as a joke or a legitimate trade offer. But he goes, okay. I don't think you're gonna get much of a better offer than that. And he hands you the axe head back. um, he looks at the crossbow and he studies over it, seemingly interested. He says, "This is actually quite an intricate device. Where'd you get it?" And he sort of pipes up and he goes, "Oh, you stole it." So he committed murder and then took it. He's sort of just laughing. Oh, that was you. There's a talk of the town about that. That's. You know what? 10 gold pieces. You can have the chainmail. I'll take the crossbow off your hands. You give me 10 gold pieces. I like that story. That everybody in the tavern was having a great old laugh at that. I lost. Sorry. I won a bet. I bet that it was you. 10 gold pieces. Alright, so Apples, you hand over your hand crossbow. Chug, you pay 10, but you acquire a suit of chainmail. And it fits really well as well. And you see Thorin and he goes, I knew a big lad like you would want to wear that. And actually, as Chug puts on the armor, there's that bright silver. He's almost completely changed his demeanor from wearing like the sort of raggy clothes, or now very dirty clothes, which are sort of very stained brown and such like that, with his sort of lightish tan, brownish skin as well. And now with this bright silver piece of armor, he actually starts to look the part. And suddenly you just feel just a little bit more respect to him. Like it's nice. And he sort of Chug sort of straightens up and. He's a dwarf. Yep. Yes, I have heard of Brotor. He's recently back in town, or was, so to speak. I think his family. They used to be one of the original discoverers of the mine. Uh, I'm pretty sure that was the Dankills. It is Brotor Dankil, correct? Make deception check. yeah, I suppose that was all true. All right, he goes, um, no, sorry, I can't have, I haven't seen him to be honest. He hasn't been at the tavern, and I reside there most evenings, having a drink with old Michael up there. But no, he hasn't came in here either. So sorry, but I do think his family's. Uh, no, he went to say his family. I do think that his family, his ancestors, are the ones that originally owned the mine. That I do know. The mine's now owned by the local government, the town council. They deal with all the profits in the workforce these days. Oh, they all migrated away or died out. There hasn't been a Dankil in this town for quite a many years until Brotto returned. Okay. Insight. Yeah. Sorry. Well, if you want to roll for it, otherwise I can just use your passive if you wanted. 18. Yeah, he certainly did seem forthright and honest. All right. You'll exit out of uh, the blacksmith's shop there with a very very happy chug. Where do you go next? Is there anything else you want to buy? You wanted to look for something? Um, you know of a tanner in the town bazaar, and also there's a tailor that often frequents there. You're able to go and check them out, and they both happen to be in town today with their caravans. The tanner has got some, you know, some very nice polished crocodile skin boots, and the tailor actually has a nice set of noble's clothes that would fit over your leather armor. The leather boots, they would set you back around 7 silver. None. Yeah, they look amazing. They're crocodile skin. Right. Hold on, I'll just double check, but I don't. No, I don't think boots or anything like that offer. Just typical boots don't offer anything. Cool. You got a set of really nice, sort of goldenish brown crocodile skin boots. Hey, would sell a short sword or buy one. Um, no, generally a lot of the magical means of items very very rare to come across. You can roll investigation and see if you can find something, but you would understand, like you would have a background understanding that finding an item like that would be quite difficult. Yeah, like, the bazaar that you're in, the town bazaar, is literally a commoner's, mostly a commoner's focused market. Lots of odds and ends, family trading, each of their trades and such like that. The Berein marketplace is not really sort of focused towards adventuring gear. While the odd person does stock one here or there, their main business is dealing with the mine and the people who would come and work for it, and also um, sort of trading to the other towns and such. In the way of adventuring, there's not a huge amount in this particular area of the region.
Who do I think would have the most money?
The most money, probably more the more established shops, and actually, with your knowledge, the Morrix's general store comes to your mind.
Not him.
And perhaps the blacksmith. Uh, the other one would be perhaps the jeweler, who he obviously sells in very high-end wares.
There's always the ogre that, although he might have moved on by now. Does it look like the ogre with the jewelers? I'd like to see.
Roll investigation. Let's see if you can find him.
9.
9. You head over there, and yes, the ogre is in place. Like, he is exactly where you remember standing amongst, and the familiar face that you spoke to is still there. However, his master is still yet to be found, or yet to be seen.
Okay. I want to go see the gnome,
Marix.
Yeah.
All right. So you head back over to the general store. Are you leaving the group and going by yourself?
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So Apples, while you're sort of moving around in the market there, and Chug and Left are sort of following and just sort of looking at the different things that are there. You don't sort of notice Dodrick sort of slip away, and he heads over to the general store there. And you obviously go through the front door, yeah? Yep, go through the front door, little doorbell rings, the door comes off, and it's like, oh, hey, how you going? Good to see you. And as you walk in, you see another couple of townsfolk, and they're sort of walking around, just looking at the shelves and such. And they take note and they have a look at you, and then go back to looking at the shelves. It's two, there's a dwarven male and a human male, and they're just talking amongst themselves and pointing towards sort of homish supplies.
Mark, I think we talked in the past about getting some poison, but I think you're going to look for.
And Mark's just like, keep your voice down. It's a one of the human males sort of just pops up, and he looks towards you and just pauses and goes back, but he's now sort of listening.
Yeah, I really need to put my dog down. Really
He's just looking disgusted, he's like, oh, and he sort of ushers the dwarf, and they both just sort of scoff at you, and they leave the store. He goes, that's fine, just next time, if we're talking about that stuff, we like to keep it discreet, please. The other townsfolk don't necessarily know the more exotic wares that I have in my capacity. Anyway, poisons. What for, and how much?
Kill people with.
You go.
Tell me the price.
Hold on, let me see if I can find a price on this. So a basic vial of poison. Marek sort of pops out and says, I see you're new in town. Have you purchased any of this before? Or are you new at this? Pretty new. Okay. This is usually quite an expensive item, and he holds out a silver sort of test tube. It's very slightly transparent, and you can see this sort of thick green liquid on the inside, and generally it's almost like a thick oil, sort of sloshes up and down. He says, this is an oil you can lace your blades with. It's usually very expensive, but seeing as you're new to this, and I like to buy my customers, so to speak. Normally this goes for 100 gold, but for you, a one-time offer today, I can offer it to you for 40.
Okay. I will gladly
Okay.
Tell me about poison and its effects.
As a DM, I have no friggin' idea. Hold on. And don't lick it. I wonder if on D&D Beyond actually has it. Okay, so uh, you know, there's an item called a poisoner's kit, which you can use and make your own poisons. I'm not sure if you chose that as one of your proficiencies of being a rogue.
I got a herbalist kit.
Okay. But the poison basic vial is what is being offered. But you can use the poison in this vial to coat one slashing or piercing weapon up to three pieces of ammunition. Applying the poison takes an action, and a creature hit by the poisoned weapon or ammunition must make a DC 10 Constitution saving throw, or take 1d4 poison damage. Once applied, the poison retains potency for 1 minute before drying. So for 1 minute, it gives you an extra 1d4 poison damage on DC 10 save. I'm not sure if it applies the poison state, and I think the poison state is disadvantage on attacks.
I'll take it.
Okay. So add 1 vial of poison to your inventory for 40 gold. Alright. You have the transaction there, and Lysander, he looks very, very happy. He goes, "Is there anything else I can help you with?"
That's all. Thanks, Murray.
No worries. Anyway, see you next time. He sort of
Alright.
he sort of hops back down off his step behind the stool and sort of goes back to sorting out things behind the desk. And both of your height, you can both barely see above the above the counter. So he almost sort of pops out of view completely, and you turn and you leave the store. Do you go and meet up with everybody again, or what do you do next?
I'll just meet up with everyone.
All right, so you head back to the market. One Lefner and Chug are still sort of trudging around the stalls. One's made his way to the tailor's store now, and you just sort of group up from behind. One, are you wanting to get the tailor's clothes from the tailor? Yeah, they'd be a very loose fit. To the very perceptive, they'll be able to notice that you're wearing something underneath. But to the average person, perhaps they'll just perceive you as a bigger build. Um, the noble's clothes does have a button-up sort of blouse at the front, and you could sort of see the darker tanning texture of the leather armor underneath it to a perceptive person. And if you have the button done all the way up, better it to be hidden. Most people sort of leave the top button undone and sort of give them a bit more space. Uh, do, 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 do. Uh, do, 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 they are 15 gold pieces for a fine set of clothes. um, that's for nobles. So that's like you know your wine and dining sort of clothes. You wear them to dances or fancy meetup. As you're leaving the tailor's stall, you also notice a more casual set of clothes, and there's also Clothes are a bit more of a looser fit, more for travelling, baggy sort of tan pants and such like that. And the general commoner's clothes, just sort of walk around, do your own business. 5 gold pieces was the price on that, and for the traveller's clothes, they're about 2 gold pieces. A bit more roomy and such, but both would also do the job of covering, not as well as um, the fine clothes, but they would do a decent job of trying to cover your armor. All right, sure, cool. All right. Anybody else doing any more shopping? All right. All right. What do you do next? Okay. Is everybody doing the same thing?
I don't wear the uniform.
Every day is opposite day. All right, so the three of you guys head back to your house and get changed into your guard uniform and make your way. Now, let me just pull up the map. But you make your way north of the town to find the house. Now, it's sort of... Oh. I don't seem to be able to log into my site. Yeah, big rip. I wonder if I've got the map elsewhere. I do. Alright. So, now I'll pop this in the Discord so you can sort of look along. So that's there. Now, so the house is very much towards the north on that last little road that leads up past the river on the right hand side of the main road. And it's the square, so the last rectangular house on the left of that road up there. So you make your way up to there and you knock on the door. Now, at this time, it's starting to get towards 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. The sun is starting to set behind the mountains and cast a shadow over the town. And so, yeah, you knock on the door, and there's no answer.
Does it have a chimney?
Yes, yes, the house has got a chimney.
I climb on the roof and make my way down the
There's not a fire and smoke. Be Santa Claus. Alright, you can do that. Now, the chimney is small and tight, however, you may be able to just fit in it. Can I get you to do an acrobatics check for me, please? 14. Alright, so you get up, you just walk straight up the wall, up onto the chimney, and you sort of snugly fit your way in, and you sort of just go just straight down, controlling your speed very carefully with your boots. And you make your way down to yeah, the fireplace opening. There's a little grate in front that's sort of protecting it from all the logs and such from rolling out, and you're able just to push that aside and to make your way in. So you're in the house. Now, this house is a single-story house. It's quite small. It doesn't really have a large living quarters, and from the outside, you could, looking at it's maybe only got about 2 or 3 rooms tops from the outside looking in. Inside, you can see that this main room appears to be around about a quarter of the size of the original house. And it's the main living area. There's a couple of sort of felt couches, which have been stuffed with some sort of hay or something like that, to sort of line them up. The majority of the house is wooden floorboards, wooden walls, glass windows with wooden windowsills. The roof is hollowed out. You can see the whole pivot of the triangle of the roof. I can't think of the word for it. And there's a couple of single beams. This from the long ways. There's a beam that runs the entire length of the house, and a couple of 3 small cross-section beams. So the room that you're in, the walls go up, but there's no roof. You're just looking straight into the house, so you could actually go up and over it if you want.
I'd like to just usually go up the wall and have a peek into the other room from the roof.
Okay.
But only like slightly raising my head above each section, trying to make sure if there's someone there they can't see me.
Can you roll stealth, please? 22. So expertly, you sort of very carefully move your way up to the wall, and you have a peek over the wall into the other rooms. And you can see a couple of bedrooms and a bathroom. And there's sort of a main kitchen area, which is sort of attached to one of the bedrooms. It just sort of looks like a bed's just sort of been thrown into that room just to sort of make space. The general gist, you find that this is a very small and probably not so well off family. Just from where everything's laid out, the type of furnishings and stuff in the house, and just the general tidiness of the house, you sort of feel that this is not someone who has come to a lot of money. However, you're looking around and you don't see anybody in there. Can I get you to roll investigation, please? 11? So you can sort of gather that there's probably 2 or 3 people that live in the house. There's a single bed, which is a bit larger than the other ones, perhaps for 2 people to share. And then there's a smaller, narrow, more single bed, and that's the one that's sort of in the kitchen area. Aside from that, you can see that there's a very, in the main bedroom, there's some very dirty clothes, perhaps owned by the man in the house. And that could be his work clothes, but you're not sure from where you're standing. Aside from that, this house just looks like a very average, run-of-the-mill house.
I'd like to check under the mattress.
Okay, so each of the beds, they're sort of propped up on 4 legs, so there's a bit of a gap underneath, and you sort of lean up the mattress. And can I get you... No, you specifically, you pull up the mattress, and you see a couple of silver pieces which are sort of wedged in between the bed boards and such, which have been stashed there. There's 3 silver. Alright. What else do you do?
I open the door to let the others in.
Okay.
When we come here, I want to burn this house down. Just as payment for what Rocco has done to us. I don't care what Justin. Try it, mate. Does your hammer only affect the ground?
If he hits the ground, yeah, consider shockwave. Although there is a special effect on a critical roll with that as well.
What if I'm on the roof?
Depends how close you are to the proximity. It'll make everything shake. The house, being on the ground, will also shake. So you feel something of it up there.
Look, you guys do all the investigating you want, but when we're done, I'm burning the house down.
Is there anything more?
Yeah, before we like burn the house down, do we want to like, I don't know, look around? I investigate the house for like anything that's, you know, out of the ordinary.
Out of the ordinary. I get you both to roll investigation. Lefto, what are you doing in all this? You just sort of watching?
Yeah, I'm watching these guys, worried that they're considering that, but considering that we've been in a few houses that have had trapdoors that belong to dwarves, and considering that it's a dwarves house, I would like to investigate under beds or wardrobes or rugs that might indicate that this could be an extra hiding place as well.
That's correct.
His family, isn't it?
His family used to own it. No. So, from what Dodrick has seen now, as far as I can tell, he hasn't communicated this with you guys yet, but he has seen that a very well-off family appears to live here. Like, it's not someone who's made a lot of money. They live pretty rough. The house is not kept well. The types of furnishings they have are not up to par. They're dilapidated and unkept. And yeah, just general things are just not what you would expect from your typical house.
How old is everything, by the way?
For investigation. So you have a look. So you're just looking for things out of place. You're not moving anything around. You're just sort of strolling around the house and seeing what you find. That was what I got from what you're looking for. And so in the bedroom, you can see that there is a set of dusty clothes, and you check the clothes, and it's more of a stony grit. And so you start to think that perhaps the man of the house is a miner, and just yeah the debris and such from working the mine has come onto his clothes. Um, in the kitchen area, you can sort of see just some very basic foods which are kept on the shelf. There's some sort of old, sort of stale breads and some semi overripe fruit and such like that that's kept on the benches there. One of the chairs is overturned. However, there doesn't appear to be any other sort of sign of any sort of struggle. It's just a single chair overturned at the dining table on its own. In the sort of living area, there's a couple of pictures of photo frames and such like that, and you can see two sort of middle to late age humans with a male and a female, presumably husband and wife, and then a sort of young adult son as well that's living in this photograph. And there's a couple of these, various mug shots of each of the ones sort of depicted around the house as well, mostly over the. Hey? Oh, sorry, photographs, portraits. They've been drawn. Sorry, I should keep it that. Yeah, you're right. It's portraits. And most of these are sketched without a lot of color, like a lot of single fine lines, some basic shading. They're not fully colorized or anything like that. And it's only them. There's nothing in the background or anything else sort of depicting where they are at the time that it was drawn or when they modeled for these drawings. And most of these are sort of just lining the walls of the living room and a couple on the mantelpiece and the fireplace. There's a bookshelf, which is mostly empty, but it has got a couple of books which are sort of folded and overturned as well. And that's about what you find in the house.
I light my torch and I start to walk around the bedroom and I put the mattress on fire, the books, bookshelf, clothing, and anything else that's
So, that was your
As a DM, I want to say that you are a paladin. I want to remind you that you are a paladin and what it means to be a paladin. Um, you guys are all walking around the house. It'd be very hard for him to walk around the house with a torch. And not only, you'd smell the smoke and such almost immediately. So you would catch him, maybe not straight away, if Dodrick hasn't said that he's walked away from the group. He's just sort of done it in plain sight, at least from what I can tell, in front of you guys. So, depending on where you are in the house, one of you may immediately see him try and do what he's doing. And he's openly said that he's going to set the house on fire to you. It's 4.
we end up doing my check to like trapdoor.
Trapdoors. No, we didn't. So you go and overturn a lot of the books. So not like you check under the rugs. You move the dresses and such. Most of the furniture and such is lifted off the floors. You don't have to do a lot of work to move them. But there doesn't appear to be any secret corridors or trapdoors or anything like that.
I mean, okay, so one moment. So for obviously now that I know it's not about going to bed, how to like so there is a certain amount of time that can I come down?
You can.
So what? I'm out of candles, I torch, I torch, I come that fucker out. How are you gonna kill this, remember? The light dark side.
Alright, after that, I like walk to the front door, I open it, I step outside, I turn back around, I look at the group, just really disappointed, and I take out those crystal shards that I found, and I throw them into the room at the closest person.
At the person. All 3.
Everyone.
So now I don't know where you guys are. So this is going to be a random chance of who it is, and I've got a mental note of it, and that is 1. You are the closest. Presumably, you followed him out after snuffing the torch out. Now I need to find what this spell does, so we can resolve what is about to happen. Um,
Just let the man think, alright? Leave him alone. A reaction. You haven't prepped anything beforehand. You can't react, mate. What do you mean? If you want to react, you need to prep for it. No one is expecting it.
that's a
I said,
tri-
let me get the last word.
that
Shut up.
that's a triggered action, and that's where you hold your action on an event. Is what you're thinking. Everybody gets a reaction, single reaction they get to use.
Well, I react to his reaction by throwing the dagger in his eye. How far do you want to take that?
Hold on. Let's see what this does. So you throw all 3 stones Um, and this, yeah. All right, Apples, can you make 3 dexterity saves, please?
Can I use throwing the stone at and use it to panic the stone? If you don't panic to that, and panic works, I have a reaction to that.
Just let it happen for the story, mate.
This actually, the way this spell works is this is an automatic hit and it's an immediate save. So
So what am I doing?
3 dexterity saves, please.
11, 9, and 21.
And Bondi, what's your spell DC?
I don't know, where do I find that?
I think it's up the top somewhere. Uh, yeah, save DC under spells.
12.
12. So you fail one of these saves. One. Now, I will just quickly find out if there's. Okay, so yeah, so it's full damage on one, and the other two sort of go off. So these two monstrous, blinding lights of these sacred flames just burst out as each of the crystals hit you. But one of them seems to be way brighter than the other, and you take. Let's find the right die here.
Can I use panic works?
It's not a damage roll. It is a damage roll. It's not a attack roll.
I get attack or damage roll on that side. Okay. Attack roll, ability check, or damage roll. You're gonna take away the attack roll because it's only a strength.
All right, go for it.
I don't want to die.
You're not gonna die.
So I get a 1d6. 2. I'm 2 on the damage roll.
So,
I'm too proud of that. 1, 2, 6.
so you take 3 radiant damage from this monstrous burst of blinding light, which erupts out.
And I disappear. Gone. In the shadows.
I'm following. Can't see in the darkness.
Not that dark. And you can tell me
If you're following one, Debondi, since you've sort of thrown them and left in the same action, and then one has been hit, can I get you to make a stealth check with advantage? Against one, can you make a perception check?
I think.
I think that's 13. And it looks like a 13. So I got 7 plus 3.
16. So Debondi sneaks away, and you don't know where he's gone.
Do I know the general area that he went to?
You haven't been to this side of town, so probably not as well as you would think. You've only sort of seen what you saw on the way up to the house. Whether or not, I wouldn't consider that as knowing it well.
Is it the house? Yeah. Oh, no, I go back and the other guys. They've obviously gone down.
Yeah, they would have come out and started to at least see the end of it.
I asked the guys, but what the fuck? Sorry, I can't say jump. Paladin wouldn't say jump.
That's good. All right, so Devondi's off. He's gone somewhere. What are you other guys doing?
Um, so what do you guys think we should do? Try to murder any of the family? On.
Imagine.
Try to kill.
Try to burn a house down. Fine. Sorry, I'm not here.
Alright, so what he's doing?
Here we go. Okay. Well, I kind of don't know what the fuck just went there. I'm kind of confused. I know our next stage of plan was to go to the board, the mission board, but I don't know. I kind of want to recall it. I just want to go back to our house and zero out the board. Sure. Yeah, all my belongings are on here. Oh, can we also run out our dark stuff and like that's how I'll Sure. I search for magic tokens that may be hiding stuff.
Alright, roll Arcana.
Uh,
16. You have a search around the house, you know, hand out, trying to see if you can feel anything sort of uneasy or looking around and see if you find anything just by sight or anything like that. But no, this house doesn't appear to be magical in any way.
sure. Take a turn. Is that correct?
You can, but yeah, left hand was searching for that sort of stuff. But yeah, go for it. Investigation. 10. You go around tapping on floorboards. You hear get a squeaky one here and there, but nothing moves or feels like it's out of place. Okay. As you emerge out of the house, you hear a voice sort of say, "Hey, hey, what are you doing in my house? Hey!" You see this human just sort of running down the road towards, and he's pointing at you guys. What's going on? He sort of stops and sees you all in uniform, and he's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! Is everything okay? What's going on? Why are you in my house?"
On the road, pretending to burn the house down. Yeah. Well, here we are. You haven't seen the bright lights before?
No, no, it's still mostly daylight. No, uh, a rogue in my house.
Yes.
And how did you trace him to my house?
Is there a man climbing in that door? Well, hey, no. So, here we are.
What? A man climbed in my chimney, and he points up, and there's a small little 2-foot chimney. Are you pulling my leg?
Good. To the town guard. Yeah, so
I I haven't seen you guys before.
your house.
Can,
What's going on here that people come in, like, you know what, that's
can you roll deception, please?
that's a 10. Nice. Did you say deception?
Deception.
Yeah, 8 plus 5, so
13. He's just looking at you. He's not believing you, but he's not sure whether he should. He's sort of sitting. uh, no, I haven't seen you people before. I haven't seen any of you. I've been here for, for almost 15 years and never seen your faces. You got 3 people dressed up in town's uniforms right in front of me. Uh, are you sure you? I'm not sure you're God. Are you really God? I haven't seen you before.
you haven't noticed the man in the town? He's been captured, well, most likely captured and abandoned. Uh, I don't know what the word is. Alright, I interject before he makes more of a fool of himself.
Yes, yes, I am.
And do you reside at this property with Mrs. Ma?
Yes, that's Valama, my wife. Yes.
Do you have any children, sir?
We have a single son. He's deceased. Why?
Well, we did see a half man or a halfling climb down the chimney. When we went to investigate, we saw him looking under the mattress in the main bedroom, and then he turned to attack Monty. One is a bit distraught and a bit disrupted, that's why he can't form a sentence.
Can you roll persuasion?
Can you escort us inside and advise us if there's anything missing so we can make a report?
Okay. Can you roll persuasion, please? 14. He sort of stands back and it seems to hit a little bit more sense coming from you, and he goes, well, yes, I suppose I can. And he walks past you and goes inside. He gestures to follow. Oh, sorry, he doesn't. Sorry, he doesn't gesture to follow. He just walks in and just starts examining the house. Leaves the door open for you in case you want to follow in. Um, he's looking around and he sees the chair that's overturned and he stands that back up. He goes into the bedroom. He has a look at the bed. And he moves to the kitchen area and has a look around and he goes, no, everything seems to be in place.
Okay. Do you have any reason why someone may be trying to break into your house, sir?
No, I have no idea.
Do you have any friends or enemies in this town?
No, I'm pretty well liked, I think. I work in the mine. I spend my coin at the tavern. I drink with the locals. I don't have any problems with anybody. And neither does my wife, by the way, before you ask that.
Okay. And by working in the mines, do you have any close relations with any of the dwarves that you work with?
No, no, not really. We emigrated to this town 10 years or so ago. I can't really remember the exact date. My father and we traveled here. Bless his soul, he passed away a couple of years ago. But I met Balama. She was a local here, and I settled. Um, found good, honest work with the mine. Um, aside from that, no, couldn't think of anything. I get along with the dwarves and the other townsfolk here, but no more than the humans or anybody else. No standouts.
Okay, no worries whatsoever.
Uh,
Your father?
he was he was killed in the mine accident a week or so ago. I haven't really come to terms with it myself just yet. Um, it's, well, I thank you for your sympathies. Now, please, uh, this conversation has upset me. If you don't mind, if you have no further business, I'd like to ask you to leave.
We apologize for taking up this time and informing that if these roles again or sees anything suspicious, please report it to us, sir.
And he goes, yes, no worries. And he closes the door behind you as you are ushered out.
Yeah, brings me to your bird.
He rolled really bad on his perception check in the bedroom.
Oh, what? How does someone that poor not notice a chimney sweep?
He was under the bed. Like, he may have forgotten it was there. You don't know.
Crawled out of the chimney.
When you roll a 2 on your perception, I suppose you don't really notice. Alright. What are you doing next?
What was it? Trying to find Yeah, it was probably well. Yeah,
I want to say it's about 7:30 by now. Twilight has really set in. It's starting to get rather dark. You guys haven't eaten for the day, and are starting to get fairly peckish, including you, Dodrick, too.
To our house, and oh, should we say we go to our house, get food, and then head off to the cabin where it's like dark, well renowned, well renowned for sitting by the houses now. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. What do you guys want to go by the cabin first? Cabin number one. I don't know.
All right.
I can go by the cabin, and you can go by the house. Okay. Let's settle. Right. Yep.
Cool. All right. So you guys head off to the tavern. Uh, Dodrick, what are you up to? Or if you don't want to tell them, you can message me if you're trying to be ultra secret.
All secret.
You tell me what we're doing.
Yeah, but I could see what you were doing.
You get my message, strategy is what I'm looking for.
I see that now. Okay, that's cool. All right, so you guys head back. Oops. I just realized that by shuffling to the different messages, that all the cameras and everything stuff up. So I won't do that again. Or if I do, I'll get you the message on a different platform. Um, so you guys are all leaving us to the tavern as three? Yeah?
We said we want to split up, go
All right,
go
so
across and
sorry, just say who's going where again for me.
so me the cabin, the other two the home, and then you can look after and sneak around and get into the tavern. Should we agree that?
Cool. All right, so you make it to the tavern. It's pretty busy, pretty lively. Do you want to make a perception check to see if you find Dodrick? And also, you guys, you head home, but the house appears to be empty.
I'd also like to word up to Marty, like like something like that. That we're looking for Dodrick, and see if we can alert him that we're free.
And Michael sort of says, yes, yeah, no worries. I haven't seen him today, but yeah, I'll send someone to find you, or if you're here, I'll flag you some way.
Cabin investigation.
Ah, no, you don't find Dodrick there. All right, so Dodrick, I'm going to bring you in so you can say what you're doing now and where you are, and you can close out with today's session with what you're about to do next. If you're happy to do it that way.
I
Or
don't want to say what I'm doing
okay,
to the rest of the group yet.
do you want to text me then, or Facebook message or something?
Text Facebook maybe.
Cool.
I'd rather verbalize it, I think. But we can do it like later
Okay. All right.
or tomorrow. Like if you want, we can like just write me out for that rest of the session.
All right. Yeah.
And I'll like talk to you later or tomorrow or something and tell you.
Cool. All right. So, what do you guys do from here? You other three.
I'll go first.
You're gonna just finish up for the night. You're gonna look. There's small fruits and breads and such, but not a meal. You could eat and be satisfied with what it is, but whether or not your character is actually satisfied just eating a couple of apples or whatever for dinner, that's up to you. Yeah, sure. From a DM point of view, I think after today, we'll just sort of say that your characters will have some sort of food prepared at the house. So when you wake up in the mornings, if you're doing it from the house, that you eat enough to be okay for the day. Now, if you're packing on long trips, you'll pack rations and such, and you'll just feed on that in breaks or rests or whatnot, and that's just sort of normal. However, if you go out on unexpected trips, perhaps you just want to do a day trip, fell into a cave and got stuck and spent a couple of days there, I think I might bring up food as being an important factor in that type of thing. Also, if you get lost or something like that, you go on a trip that's longer than expected, I might bring it up with that. But otherwise, unless you want to go and just role play being in the tavern or eating somewhere, perhaps in the market or whatnot, um, I'll leave that up for you guys. Cool. So what are you doing?
But I don't feel we should go on the tower.
All right. So you three, you head to the guard keep and have a look to see if anything new has been posted. It mostly just seems the same. There's a new notice for another missing person, um, and the name for that one is um, is Adri Amika, which is an elf, which catches your attention. Um, but aside from that, there's nothing new. Considering you only been here a couple of days ago, and you guys have dealt with the majority of the news in the town, you don't see anything else sort of posted there. Yeah. All right. So you head back to the tavern and have a chat with Michael. And you're asking about the town history and such with Brotor. Oh, the stonemason. Okay, sorry, wrong one. Um, so you head there. I think the fellow was called Jason. I think I gave him a pretty lame name. Uh, but yeah, you enter in and he's behind the counter again, and he's very dressed, very cleanly, standing up very straight. Um, and he greets you as you come in. He goes, "Ah, yes, hello, sirs. Sorry, I haven't got any more news for you just yet. I would have sent, like I said."
Hi. We've come, so, our old friend, Russell, he was saying some, store over the week. We were just looking to catch up with, around.
Oh, Master Brotor, no, sorry, Master Dankil. No, I have not seen him since his unfortunate time in the stockade. We have a pretty strict policy. We actually asked him to leave after we heard about that. We don't like our reputation being damaged. Innocent or non-innocent, you can understand once rumor gets around of someone being in the stockade, it can be damaging to an establishment like this. Uh, but yeah, he stayed with us for quite a many months while he was working in the mine. Um, It was very quiet. His room was tidy. Uh, the girls who kept to his room never complained, from what I can remember. Um, but when we asked him to leave, he didn't put up a fight. He just acknowledged that and took his belongings and left. I couldn't offer you any more insight than that. He kept to himself. He didn't cause any trouble with the neighboring rooms, and he paid his bills on time. Oh, I'm sorry, I could not recall if that's happened or not. He was in the stockades because he was caught with you guys after you exploded the entrance to the collapsed mine, injuring or killing somebody. I can't remember which it was, but yeah, you were arrested immediately upon or pending an investigation, and he was a part of that.
Yeah, generally take a night nap and sleep. Or drink
All right, so let's say you end up your evening at the tavern, have a meal, and head back to the house and wait for Dodric. Is that sort of what you were expecting? Yep. All right. So that happens. Dodric, I think, will emerge at some point, but we might leave that until next session. Nice. Well done. That was fun. What's the challenge rating? 3. 3. Jesus. Ah, okay. I might have to look at that. That sounds fun. I think I wanted to get the Xantha's Guide to Nearly Everything next because it just adds a whole heap of weird stuff and funky stuff. Um, hey? Yeah, well, I'll let you know. Typically wait for these stuff to go on sale, but I'm not sure if I'll pick one up just yet. But next time it does, I might. You guys stopped Dodric from burning the house down. That was very evil, Dodric. That was very, very abrupt.
Hey, maybe. Was it evil? I don't know. In case maybe. Just wait. What happens next?
Ah, cool. All right, we'll try for 2 weeks if you're happy.
off to the Gold Coast on the weekend of the 21st, 21st to the 24th, and then like there. We're doing it every 2 weeks.
Yeah, cool. All right. Now I want to keep with the 2 weeks. Plus, I've got to spend a bit of time, and I think I'm 3 weeks behind on the writing up all the bits and pieces on World Anvil. So I need to catch up with that. And I've got to jot down all the new stuff that I've sort of crafted, and you guys have crafted as well. It's funny. I had a couple of things prepared today, but I've had to improvise a lot, which is fun. It's good. The Mask family, completely, yeah, completely new. And actually, when you asked about Rotor having resided in the town, I was like, shit, I haven't done that. I'll just make up the place. And I was prepared to give you some good stuff in the manor, but you'll roll like shit. So, bad romance novels is all you got, hey? Well, I probably would have allowed you to spend the rest of the day and have another go in there if you really wanted to, but generally the rule is you get one shot at your checks and that's sort of it, unless you're trying to achieve different things. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Alright, well I might jump off and play a game or two before I head to bed. I'll do some more painting. You see my crates that I finished? They're pretty cool.